Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Touchback with Chris and Megan, your fast paced, no nonsense fantasy football podcast. In just 30 minutes, we'll give you everything you need to know to outsmart your league and set up your best possible lineups. Finally, week one is here. The drafts are done, the rosters are set, and now it's all about making the right lineup calls. Every point matters, and the difference between a win and a loss could be that one player in your flex, or that one player that you leave on your bench.
And that's exactly why we're here. We want to help you get as much value from your roster as you can in week one. Here's how we're structuring today's episode: matchup based start sit decisions, high upside sleepers and trap players to avoid, and finally, our collective position locks, the absolute must start players, no questions asked.
So let's circle that wagon and get started on week one NFL matchups. Make sure to like and subscribe now. All right, let's start with that week one matchup. The Dallas Cowboys versus the defending Super Bowl champions of the Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday Night Football. For the
First game
Dallas
of the
side,
season.
yeah, very excited. So happy football's back. First, on the Dallas side, we have Dak Prescott as the quarterback, Javonte Williams as the starting running back, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, the new acquired George Pickens from the Steelers. Jake Ferguson, hopefully going to get a comeback season, and then the All-Star Brandon Aubrey as the kicker.
Philadelphia's starting lineup is Jalen Hurts at quarterback, Saquon Barkley at running back. Wide receivers are A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert at tight end, Jake Elliott at kicker.
So, on this game, obviously there's going to be a lot of emotions. You have the banner being brought in from the Super Bowl for the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia is going to be absolutely on fire, possibly literally. So you're going to have to say, okay, where's the emotion, where's not? If you ask the Philadelphia Eagles coach, he didn't realize it was banner night. Lying, of course, but he's one of those things we're trying to keep a lid on their emotions as possible. So, what I'm thinking, Megan, is with the Philadelphia Eagles, they don't have to face off against that absolute headache, Micah Parsons, after he got traded to the Green Bay Packers this last week. They're going to have a much easier time throwing that ball and operating their offense, I think.
Do you think he's going to throw the ball much? I don't really think that Jalen Hurts is that much of a wide receiver type quarterback.
I think that Jalen Hurts is going to have the more opportunity than he has in the past. I definitely think that Saquon Barkley is going to ground and pound like he did last year against the Cowboys. But that was also, again, you don't have an all-star, all-pro, linebacker. Yeah, Micah Parsons was not known for his run stopping. He was more known for his pass rushing. But that just tells me Jalen Hurts is going to have a lot more time to actually get with his. Going to have a lot more time passing the ball.
What do you think about Saquon Barkley this year? He did okay at Philadelphia last year. I feel like he was getting his feet wet and just starting to figure out what Philadelphia was like. Do you think he's going to do better this year?
I think he's probably going to take a step back. To be real honest, I think with last year he took the NFL by storm again with that backwards jump over a defender. And so, but if we take what he did against Dallas in the past, I mean, it's usually only about that 50 to 100 yards. But if we say, hey, week one for Saquon Barkley last year, he had over 100 yards on just 24 carries. So you know that they're going to give him the rock. You know that they're going to go ahead and try to get that started just to jumpstart to keep the emotions in check. But I definitely think that you're going to see a much more balanced attack from the Philadelphia Eagles. What about Dallas? What do you like on them?
Well, I feel like this is Dak's last year to prove himself. I feel like he came out great when he was young, and the last couple of years have been really, really tough for him. Hopefully, he can prove himself, and his O line will take care of him, and he'll be able to show us what he's got.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just don't think it's going to happen this week. Dak Prescott, Dak Prescott, he has not been very good the last 3 years. For week one, it's not something that he has done very well in the last 3 years. He has not even reached 200 yards in passing. So I don't think this is gonna be it. Especially against Philadelphia. CeeDee Lamb, I think he's gonna have a lot more of a chance to not be double teamed the entire time. But I think instead of it helping CeeDee Lamb, I think that actually opens up the ground for Jake Ferguson. But we're gonna see Brandon Aubrey. He's probably your only solid pick in this game. Anybody else you like?
Yeah. I mean, I always like CD Lamb. I think that he takes initiative and really loves that ball. So I also will probably pick CD Lamb this week.
Sounds good. All right, shall we go over to Brazil for the Kansas City game?
Yeah, let's get on that plane.
Here we go.
Do you know
So
any Portuguese?
I do not. Absolutely not. It's crazy. So the international games start off in Brazil this year at the Arena Corinthians Stadium in Sao Paulo, Brazil. This is actually, fun bit of trivia, is Justin Herbert's first international game.
Wow.
He has never played international, and Jim Harbaugh has never coached international. So they're going to both have this is going to be a whole new scenario for both of their teams. What do you like in this game?
Well, I was going to say that both Kansas City and Los Angeles are on the middle to western side of the United States, and that's pretty great from a time zone perspective. You know, when we have the Europe games and the teams having to go out a week or two before, should go out a week or two before, um, they have to deal with that time change and, you know, the conditions and being on the plane for so long. But I feel like this is going to be prime time, you know, perfect timing for them both to stay in their same bedtime routines and that sort of thing. Um, from a team perspective, from a player's perspective, I like both quarterbacks here. I think that we're seeing Patrick Mahomes kind of fall off a little bit, you know, in fantasy drafts. He wasn't as high as he has been in previous years.
Absolutely.
And Justin Herbert is kind of on the upside, right? Like he's starting to come into his own and has really found a home with the Chargers and doing well there. Um I like Lad McConkey. I like uh Cameron Dicker, you know, Dicker the kicker,
Mm,
on the Los Angeles side.
gotta love that.
But you know, Kansas City has their team. They've had those same players for the last couple of years, and they know each other, and they work really really well together. So I think that from a Kansas City perspective, you know, if they stick with what they know, they'll do really really well. But I'm really excited to see what the Chargers have.
Absolutely. Yeah, for the one thing that I am interested about is to see what they're actually going to do in Kansas City this year. Rumor has it, according to all the insiders on ESPN and NFL Network, you have Kansas City is expected to open up a good bit, with their wide receivers and just start shooting the ball deep. They have two speedsters right there in Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown. Um, they're known for their straight line speed, their go balls, and that they're hoping to recapture that Tyreek Hill mentality. Once Rasheed Rice comes back later in the year after his, I believe, it was a 6 game suspension, then you'll be able to see a lot more underneath. But that's right now just going to be Travis Kelsey, where he's going to thrive. Isaiah Pacheco, I actually kind of think out of everybody on the Chiefs, he's going to probably have the big game. Patrick Mahomes over the last few years has had about 250 to 350 on yards passing, but I think with it being Kansas City, because typically with Patrick Mahomes on international games, he doesn't even hit 200 yards passing. Granted, like you said, this is a difference in time zone, but it shouldn't be that much of a difference because of where we're all located. But when the Chiefs did play in Mexico City with that horrible turf a few years back, he did it. He broke 120 yards, and that was it passing. Now, hopefully, the turf holds up with another soccer field. We will see. But I think probably where they're gonna go is Isaiah Pacheco being your big PPR scorer in this game.
Yeah, he doesn't have to do much, but hold on to the ball and run, right? Versus really relying on that field and the conditions in the stadium. So yeah, I can see that.
Awesome. So, one person I want you to look at is Marion Hampton. He's the new rookie. Najee Harris was supposed to be the running back in Jim Harbaugh's starting offense until he had a firework accident when that went straight around his eye. He says there's been no damage to his eye, but that is something to just keep an eye on to see how much they're going to work out that rookie.
Yeah, he didn't practice much in training camp, right?
Right. He didn't play any in preseason. He didn't really practice in training camp at all. But it did come out this week that Jim Harbaugh said he has been cleared to play.
Guess we'll see.
I guess we'll see. All right, let's head to Atlanta. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Atlanta Falcons. This is our first game on the Sunday slate. First of many of the Sunday slate. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look. This is probably one of my favorite matchups here. Baker Mayfield and Bucky Irving with Mike Evans and Otten and McLaughlin is probably my favorite setup for this entire week. I think the matchups speak better to the Buccaneers versus Atlanta. All that really Atlanta's gonna have is Bijan Robinson. Um, Bijan being that rookie of the year from last year, he's looking to repeat, and that's what's really exciting. Michael Penix is finally going to get a full season underneath his belt, and we'll see what he can do with Drake London. Darnell Mooney, we'll see if he can help out. But in Kyle Pitts, I don't think he's going to do really much because we haven't seen it from him. So maybe he'll do something this year, but I wouldn't hold my breath on him.
Didn't want to try a Mecca Igbuka in your
Egbuka?
list?
No. I was not gonna mess up Egbuka's name, especially since Egbuka is their new rookie wide receiver.
Yeah.
And luckily they picked him in the first round because Chris Godwin is currently still dealing with that injury from last year. Luckily, Godwin's looking to be back after 4 weeks, from being put on IR, but designated to return. So that's something where I'm really happy to have him back because personally I've had him in a franchise league for a long time, and he always is a consistent wide receiver. But this is where Baker Mayfield starts. He is absolutely a week one just fire hose. He does an amazing job every single week one just to get the party started. So he's going to come out with a lot of energy and get Mike Evans that ball so that he can start getting another head start on that 1,000-yard season.
Yeah, I really hope Baker does well. It's kind of been sad to watch his decline as far as finding his roots and being
Oh,
able to shine like he did that first season. He used to be such a great quarterback, and hopefully being with the Bucks and um all of the different targets he has to work with, we'll see something,
yeah,
but you
absolutely.
never know.
Yeah, I completely agree. Baker has had to unfortunately ride that journeyman train throughout his career. I mean, starting with the Browns and then going down to Carolina, then over to the Rams, and I mean he's been everywhere. But luckily, it seems like he's gotten into that Todd Bowles system, and they really liked him there in Tampa Bay. So sneaky, Jesse. Sneaky, or excuse me, sneaky MVP.
For
Uh,
sure.
a sneaky dark horse on the MVP race is where the insiders are kind of just throwing that out there for Baker Mayfield. So it'd be interesting to see how much he can uplift his team this year, especially with the new rookie and once Godwin gets back.
Fingers crossed. How about that Cleveland game?
Let's go ahead and go over there. So Cleveland Browns Stadium, the most original name for all the stadiums, they are facing against the Cincinnati Bengals. Um, I feel bad for Cleveland. That's my take. That's my take on this game. I feel bad for Cleveland
You,
because,
you
I,
feel bad for Cleveland this year?
well, this year among others, but specifically this game. I said the last game with the Falcons and Tampa Bay that that's my favorite matchup. This game is probably the should have the largest line, as it were, and I mean, I don't expect Cleveland to even put up maybe 6 points, maybe 10. I don't think Cleveland's going to win this. The only issue is how many points is Cincinnati going to score? Because you have Joe Burrow, who in all his rights, everybody says he's an all-star, and he has been, but he can't stay healthy. And it's something where they play so poorly at the beginning of the year that they can barely scrape into the playoffs at the end of the year. So Joe Burrow, yeah, he can go ahead and put up numbers because he has those all-star receivers in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, but I mean, he just has to stay healthy. So for this game, absolute starter though, an absolute starter. Actually, I would say all of the players on Cincinnati are absolute starters in this game. For those top five, from Joe Burrow, Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Mike Gesicki, and Eric McPherson, I think all of those are solid starters this week. Because they should be going into a fairly easy house. But you have that defense. That defense in Cleveland always does give Cincinnati a hard time. So we'll see. Anybody on Cleveland that you like?
Like I said during the before the season started, Jerry Judy. I really hope that he can find some star power. It's sad that it's with Cleveland, but like he's a good player, like he
Mm-hmm.
has great hands and he's able to maneuver on that field around the defenders. And I really hope that he's able to at least be a shining light for Cleveland. Maybe not this game. I expect that Cincinnati is going to wipe the floor with Cleveland. And they really need to drop their quarterback. Like I love Flacco. He's been around a long time and has put up some great highlights, but he's really it's time for him to put it to bed
Yeah,
and let somebody else take over for a little bit.
I completely agree, and I will never forgive the them putting Joe Flacco's comeback player of the year over DeMar Hamlin. It does not make any sense. He was on the couch, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's the comeback player of the year because it's something that he led his team to X amount of wins, and he did all this." And DeMar Hamlin was on special teams. I mean, it's just that is always going to be up in my crawl. I liked him, Joe Flacco. He was a fantastic Super Bowl winning quarterback. But it's just something that I don't see it. I don't know why they're not just starting one of the two rookies that they have in Shador Sanders or oh gosh, what's their other kid's name?
I don't remember. I mean,
Dylan.
I feel like Shador would be a good pick. Um, but I also feel like he needs to sit and grow up a little bit. If you watch the draft, it was quite obvious that he was unhappy that he was not first picked out of the gate and, you know, expected to have his dad's name
Mm-hmm.
um being the reason that he is as good as he is. But he will do well, hopefully. But I would not necessarily start him right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Shador has a lot of growing up to do in the NFL world. And, well, if you're going to do some growing up, Cleveland's one place to do it. So, before we move on to the Colts game, I want to give you a couple of stats just on this matchup specifically. The last time Cleveland beat Cincinnati was 2003, or excuse me, 2023, not 2003. 2023. The Browns beat the Bengals 24-3. Um, the time before that, it was back and forth between they were fairly even when they had Baker Mayfield. So the Browns, they usually score, like I said, about that 14 points. And the Bengals, they when they beat them really good. So just keep an eye on it. If you have someone in Cincinnati, that's who you're going to want to use. Absolutely for this game. No questions asked. All right, let's go ahead and get to Indianapolis.
Indianapolis.
The Miami Dolphins versus the Indianapolis Colts. Oh, Dolphins. I'll let
Miami at Indianapolis. We have Tua
you.
Tagovailoa. See, I got it the second time.
Yeah, close enough.
Devon Ashane, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Darren Waller, and Riley Patterson in the starting lineup. And if you look over at Indianapolis, Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, Tyler Warren, and Spencer Schrader.
So,
Ugh,
ouch.
Daniel Jones.
I can't believe you
I,
wanted the starting job.
I can't either. Like, how? Like, you didn't show up at all last year.
Mm.
At all.
Oh. But Richardson, they must have really just said, "All right, well, thanks, but no thanks." Every time you touch the ball, you get injured. That's the only reason why I can think that they're going to start Daniel Jones over. Daniel Jones is a consistent short yardage quarterback. Absolutely consistent short yardage quarterback that can get 7 to 10 yards, and he's mobile, he is somewhat mobile. I mean, you will never forget, if you're a Giants fan specifically, Daniel Jones taking off from his own 2 yard line and running the entire distance of the field just to fall over his own feet at the 10 yard line. It is the perfect Daniel Jones meme highlight. It sums him up all in one. He can be special, but then he just falters. Jonathan
Have they
Taylor, go ahead.
have they said anything about maybe doing a quarterback half where
No.
it's going to be, because I could see Daniel Jones against Miami, like trying to put up those numbers and trying to outdo Tua,
Right.
but I don't know. Like maybe it's kind of waiting, like hedging their bets and waiting for the injury train to hit them later in the year versus now when they want to get some momentum going.
Oh. From what I am hearing, the Indianapolis Colts coaching staff has come out and said that Daniel Jones is the quarterback from week 1, week 18. That is their starting quarterback. The only
I
way
don't
Daniel
understand
Jones
it.
doesn't play is when he gets injured. That's it. So, all this to say, Daniel Jones is probably always gonna be a bench player. He is, unless you have a incredibly easy matchup, like against Tennessee or something, which luckily they play Tennessee twice a year, and you need somebody for that bye week quarterback. That's kind of where you go with Daniel Jones. Um, Jonathan Taylor, people are saying that they want to see him get back to where he was. Used to be a top 3 running back every single year, but injuries have just labored him the entire time.
I don't
Um,
think he did terribly last year. Almost every single game you watched, he had the ball. So I'm not feeling like he might have done worse last year than he's done in the previous years, but he still was great, in the 2024 year. So I definitely would start Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely had more 100 plus games than not. I mean, when he played Tennessee the first time, he had over 200 yards. So it's something that Jonathan Taylor does have. He did have about 1,400 yards to end last year, so he is going to get the opportunity. But same thing, they had Joe Flacco last year, so you're not much of an upgrade here. So it's one of those things where the issue with Jonathan Taylor, and every time somebody's going to face him, they're just going to stack the box. They're going to say, hey, beat us with Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones is going to have to be able to hit Michael Pittman. He's going to have to be able to hit Josh Downs. Josh Downs is a burner, man. He's going to get down the field, but Daniel Jones might not be able to get it to him. Michael Pittman, he's going to go up and get it, but Daniel Jones has got to at least get into his vicinity. The one high point that I think with the Colts And we'll get to the Dolphins in just a second. But the one high point I think with the Colts is that Tyler Warren, the kid showed out. The uh, new rookie tight end who was first one to be taken in the draft, if I'm not mistaken, is he was pretty much Daniel Jones' number one receiver in the preseason. So we'll see what he can do. I mean, preseason's a lot different with coverages and everything, but we'll see how everybody likes Tyler Warren. I would keep a very close eye on him. And Spencer Schrader, I have no information on the kid, but they kick in a dome, and that's no easier place to kick than inside of a dome. All right, Miami, Tua Tagovailoa, one hit away from getting booted from the NFL for a concussion. He's
And you
has
have that?
I do I just think that he would. I think that
Well, I was gonna say, Chris, before you started talking about Miami, that you should turn around your hat and talk like an objective fan instead of the
no,
hat that you're currently
no,
wearing.
no. This is an absolute unbiased opinion. But Tua, I was about to get to it, where Tua is a kind of player that, yeah, he can absolutely win a game for you. And he did it at Alabama. He's done it in Miami. I mean, only a couple years ago, to speak to my Bills, is that only a couple years ago, he took Miami all the way through and made the final game of the season a win for the AFC East. So luckily the Bills won, but we're not talking about a few years ago. But that Tua, when he stays healthy, he can win.
But he hasn't been healthy.
Well, that's my point. Is this is a game where the defense, this is a high value pick for Tua. If you have him, you probably can start him. If you have him in a Superflex league, you absolutely will start him. Devon A Chain, I believe he's Devon A Chain, excuse me. Um Fast, super fast kid. Again, coming off of an injury, we'll see how much he actually can pick up those wheels again. Tyreek Hill, on the depth chart, he's wide receiver one. In real life, he's probably more like wide receiver two, wide receiver three. He's kind of fallen out of favor with Miami. Jalen Waddle has been with Tua from the beginning, and they have built that rapport. But Tyreek, he is in a contract year. After this year, there is no more guaranteed money on that massive contract he signed years and years and years ago. So he asked for a trade. He started bad mouthing his team earlier in the year, but now he seems to
Oh.
have come around. So we'll see if Tua gives him some love. Tua
He
has
does
some.
that every year,
Oh
though. He
yeah.
is so a showboat and drama queen and
Hmm.
all of the things.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like him at all, and I don't trust him. And I would do anything I could to not take him in a fantasy league because you can't rely on him.
Hmm.
He like talks all of this, I'm better than everybody, I have this huge ego, whatever it is, but then he doesn't show up. And then he cries about, getting pulled over on the way to the game. And that was the entire point of that game for him was
Hmm.
let's talk about this versus
Yep.
the actual game, like
That's true.
yeah.
I mean, so to give you an idea, last year, Tyreek Hill, when he faced off against the Colts, he had one reception for 2 targets and 8 yards.
Exactly.
So, but then he can also have a game like against the Jets where it's 10 receptions, 14 targets, 115 yards. It's something where it all depends on that defense. All depends on who's going to be covering them. I think Jalen Waddle's going to get their number one coverage on the Colts side, so that is going to open up Tyreek a bit. But we will see. It's one of those where if they can spread the ball around, they're going to do it. But I think this is another one of those. We're going to run the ball and just try to go ahead and work that short to intermediate game. Riley Patterson, here's just a sneaky little topic on him. He is a new kicker to the Miami Dolphins. He had not kicked for them at all in the past because Jason Sanders, as of 8 days ago, was put on IR. So that was something that they weren't expecting. And so it's a brand new kicker in Miami. You have anything else on this game?
I was just gonna say that I'll be the Bills fan today because I really don't like the Miami Dolphins. It's objective. It's
Yes.
not because of the Bills, but I just don't like the team at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
So I'll be the Bills fan today. You can be them next week.
Sounds good. That sounds fine. Yeah, the Miami's in a really tough year. I think everybody in that organization is on the hot seat. So,
Yeah, as they should be.
all right, let's go
Who's
ahead.
next?
We're going to Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, Florida.
Yep. TF Bank Field in Jacksonville, Florida. The Panthers versus the Jaguars. This could be a really fun game to watch. You have two not all-star teams, but you have
Yeah,
people on there that have that definitely people that you're going to be watching from your fantasy point of view. Chuba Hubbard on the Carolina side and Brian Thomas on the Jacksonville side. So where would you like to start, Meg?
that's where I was gonna start. Both Chuba Hubba and Brian Thomas were on my top 10. And I felt like they both showed out last year and had great years. Chuba Hubba's kind of more of a veteran in the sport, not sport, but the NFL, than Brian Thomas is, but he's still making numbers and staying off that injury train as much as he can. And Brian Thomas, we'll see what he can do underneath Trevor Lawrence. Um, and you know, Trevor Lawrence has been with Jacksonville for forever,
Mm-hmm.
and he sometimes will have a good season. I think last year he didn't do very well at all, but um, hopefully, that when you're in a rivalry like this, that you'll be able to, or he'll be able to show up. Um, King Bigsby, Travis Etienne, both great running backs on the Jacksonville side. What do you think, Chris?
I absolutely am gonna just hop on or piggyback where you're going. So Bryce Young, he at the end of last year after he got benched, he showed that he could play in the NFL, which is a shocker to a lot of people, including yours truly, who dropped him after week 3, in one of my franchise leagues. I then immediately picked him back up. Luckily, he was still in the waivers claim for our free agency for our league in week 8, but I needed somebody for my bye week, and I'm like, I'll pick up Bryce Young again, and we'll just put him in this super flex spot. So, but Chuba Hubbard, absolutely. I have loved him since he came into the NFL. I think he's a hard nosed running back. I think he's going to absolutely crush Jacksonville's defensive line. I don't know on Jacksonville where they're going to stop, but they're gonna have to stop somebody. The one really interesting thing about Carolina is this new kid. I'm not going to try to pronounce his first name, which nobody else is saying his first name, other than the fact that he goes by Tet McMillan. So
Taro.
that's yeah, well, I'll let you say it.
Tara.
Taro. I don't.
Taro.
Yeah,
But he has the name on the end. Tara.
yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna call him Tet. Like everybody else does. So Tet is he is a could be an elite wide receiver. Everybody was. I don't think anybody was expecting Carolina to take him in the first round as high as they took him. But so far, from what we're seeing, he is exactly what they are looking for. Xavier Legette, he is the last year's rookie wide receiver that they brought in as well. So I mean that they are starting to build that foundation, which I'm really excited to see. Is that what we're wanting to see from them? But that's the Carolina side. Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence, just so I need him to be good. I need him. He has so many good games, man. He could be so good. And again, being from Clemson, I mean, we called him Sunshine down here, and it was just a scenario that he has the skills, but why he's not putting it together? It's his offensive line has just not been up to par.
That's what I was gonna say. It's his
Uh-huh.
offensive line. He doesn't trust them,
Yeah.
and they've burned him.
Yep.
Like he used to be able to move around and get out of the pocket and make those crazy throws, and all of a sudden he got burned, and now he's scared that he's gonna get hit.
Yep.
So
Which
yeah,
again, I don't blame him. He is getting hit. That's the issue. He is getting hit. So with that, you have Take Bigsby. Travis Etienne is going to be your number one running back. They literally spell each other. They on the depth charts you have Tank Bigsby technically as their one, but really it's first down's Tank, second down's Travis, third down's Tank. It's a back and forth on both of them. Brian Thomas, All Star, we will see him go in. Travis Hunter, wild card. I think that if you have Travis Hunter, he is the perfect flex player. The perfect flex player because he's got to play offense and defense. So we'll see. And to wrap it up with Cam Little, the kid hit a 70-yarder in preseason. I picked him up because I have a kicker that has some pelvic soreness, and I am not sure if he's gonna play. So, but not
Really a
much.
bad thing to have pelvic
Yeah,
soreness.
we'll get to that game. Trust me, we'll get to that game. All right. So next up, we're gonna go over to New England.
Ugh.
It's all right. It's not gonna be that bad. Gillette
New
Stadium.
England.
Gillette Stadium. Vegas versus New England.
This could be a good game.
I think so. I think you have two new head coaches here. You have Pete Carroll back in Oakland, and you have um Teddy Bruschi back in Bruschi.
Oh, you're
I'm
asking me?
I'm trying to remember if I'm saying his name right. But then you have Teddy back in New England. Oh, the internet's gonna kill me if I don't get that right. So anyway, we'll go ahead and talk about it is not Bruschi. Teddy Bruschi did play for the um New England Patriots, but
No idea who
that
you're
is
talking
not
about
the
right now.
it's not the total it's their current coach. So anyway, while I go ahead and make a fool of myself here,
I'm
we
just gonna
have yeah, that's fine.
say I
That's
don't
fine with
say
me.
things that I
We're
don't
good.
know.
Yeah, well, at least I got one of the guys right. Mike Vrabel, that's his name. Golly. Okay, so
Oh, I know who that is.
yeah, it's good. Okay, so we'll try. Let's start over this again. Las Vegas Raiders are being led by Pete Carroll, which is the former New England Patriots quarterback or former New England Patriots coach from way back when, and you have Mike Vrabel as the former New England Patriots player from way back when. Both first-time head coaches for these teams. Um, Vegas did a lot of trading. They brought in Geno Smith from the Seattle Seahawks, which again has that mentality there. He knows Pete Carroll. And then you have um Amari Cooper coming back to the team that he was drafted by. So we're gonna go ahead and see what we got. Again, you have the number one running back taken in the draft in Ashton Genty as well. Jacoby Myers has asked for a trade, so we'll see how long he stays there. Daniel Carlson's one of my favorite kickers. That if you have him in a dome, he is absolute money. Outside of a dome, he is not bad, but his length absolutely does not as accurate.
Where
Um,
was he before Vegas?
who?
Daniel Carlson.
I think he was drafted by the Raiders. Actually, I'll look that up for you. That real
Maybe I just recognize his name from the Raiders, but that seems weird.
Yeah, he's been with the Raiders. Or nope, I am incorrect. He was drafted by the Minnesota Vikings, and then he's been with the Raiders since 2019. So,
Wow.
yeah. So and again, we're looking his for week one. He's usually gonna get two chances. I mean, last year against the Chargers in an outdoors, or I guess that's technically a dome. I just said, but he missed. He was 1 for 2, and the one that he missed looks like it was over 40 yards. So it's something where he is a very solid kicker. I would absolutely have him your fantasy team. Have not got him yet, or
Did
need
you
a
just say that SoFi Stadium is technically a dome?
technically.
It's technically underground.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, it can open up. So there you go.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Down to New England. Drake May, kid has an arm. Can he put it
He
together
does.
in week two or in year two?
And year two, yeah, I was about to say this is what I was gonna say is that it's second year and it's everything in New England is riding on that arm.
Mm-hmm.
He without a good quarterback there, then New England has just fallen apart since Tom Brady left, and it's kind of starting to look sad, and
Yep.
now we don't have a coach there either, and
Mhm.
last year was just a fall apart mess.
Yep.
So
Yep. Which again, I think that's kind of was their plan. They wanted Vrabel all along, but they promised the coaching job to the former coach prior, and so therefore they're not going to go against their. But Drake May, I think this is a good matchup for both teams. I think Ashton Genty's going to be able to run the ball. I think that Brock Bowers also should have won Rookie of the Year last year. Definitely is the number one tight end in the NFL right now. But Stephon Diggs, he has been cleared to play, so we will
we'll
see
see.
if how much he comes back. But Douglas, he's also going to be somebody who, absolutely was taken off last year. So he was a favorite target of Drake May. Hunter Henry, hit and miss, guys. Don't. That is another tight end that if you have a bye week, but you don't have one just yet, Hunter Henry is your guy. So, alrighty. Anything else on this game, Megan?
Nope.
Well, let's go to the Jazz Central, New Orleans. Caesar Dome, or Caesar Superdome, excuse me, in New Orleans, Louisiana. We have the Arizona Cardinals and the New Orleans Saints. Where do you want to start? Because there's not much on the bone here.
There isn't. Let's talk about people that we've seen before. Kyler Murray,
Mm-hmm.
Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave or
Yep.
Olave?
Olave.
Olave?
Mm-hmm.
Rashid Shaheed.
Yep.
That's about it. So it feels like it's going to be a game that is people trying to prove themselves and just figuring out where they fall. I definitely expect Kyler Murray to do well uh, against New Orleans, but I also really love Chris Olave. What did I say?
Olave. It's Chris Olave.
I want to say like olive,
I
right?
know.
Like the A is actually an I.
It
Um,
is not.
Alvin Kamara is, a veteran in the sport as
And
well.
he's getting up
So,
there.
but he's getting up there, right? So if there's, I don't know what I would do with this game. I think that Arizona has a lot more players that we know do well when they do well than New Orleans does, but it's a game to watch,
Mm-hmm.
from your sleeper perspective. Are there
Yep.
any on these teams that you're looking at for sleepers?
Yeah, so with the sleepers, I would definitely say Marvin Harrison, probably up there on sleepers. I think that if him and Kyler Murray have been working together in the offseason like we expect them to, that's where they're going to get. You're going to see production. Marvin Harrison, everybody expects him to take a large jump, but that means he's going to have to cut into Trey McBride's um, target share, which again, over last year, he had 111 or 147 targets, Trey McBride, just from Kyler Murray, which ended up being just over 1,100 yards. So Trey McBride's that another top three tight end in this league that you're going to go ahead and try to get. Now, he's going to get it against New Orleans, but the one thing New Orleans has prided themselves on for years and years and years have been their defense. So that's something where we're gonna have to see. I think Alvin Kamara's gonna have a big game, because they're gonna just work that screen game with Kellen Moore being their head coach. So I think that's something where they're gonna go ahead and have that screen game a whole lot. With it again, Rashid Shaheed as well, so that 10 fast. We'll just work it around we'll work it over the middle. And so I think you're gonna have opportunities on both sides. I think you have solid starters in James Conner and Alvin Kamara. Your flex positions, I would put Marvin Harrison, Kyler Murray can very well be a starting quarterback for you, or it would be an absolute solid pick as a super flex quarterback as well. I would not be starting Spencer Rattler this game, but I would absolutely put Olave or Rashid Shaheed your as a starting wide receiver.
Sounds good.
I think we're headed to New York next. Oh yeah, this is a fun matchup coming up. The Pittsburgh Steelers versus the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers versus the New York Jets. Justin Fields versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. This one's a bit of an underdog of matchup of the week. Yeah, you have the lines, and New York loves nothing more than the lines because there's a lot of juice here. Justin Fields facing off against Pittsburgh after they decided to bench him for Russell Wilson after he started last year for them and was on a winning streak, and they still benched him for Russell Wilson. Aaron Rodgers, unfortunately, just never got it off in New York. We saw with the injury that he had when he first got there, completely ruined that season for him, and then he just had coaching carousel, and so it never really happened for Aaron, unfortunately. So we'll see. I mean, they brought in Metcalf from
Crazy.
yeah. I do not understand that, but Seattle again was having a sale apparently, and so they decided to bring in Metcalf. So I think Pittsburgh they have some weapons. I think Aaron could very well have a little bit of extra juice to go against New York, but you have Aaron Glenn being the new head coach of the New York Jets, the former defensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions, and we all remember that the Detroit Lions are a high pressure get after the quarterback or to get after the quarterback team from last year. So I kind of expect New York to have that same mentality. Um, but there's so many players that could do good, and so many players that should do good. But we'll see what happens here. What do you think?
It's the New York Jets. They just don't ever do well, you know? It's you see potential, like you said, with all of these great guys that we've seen before, but they just can't make it happen whatsoever. Like even against teams that should be competitive, right?
Right.
Justin Fields, I loved him in Chicago. I thought he was doing very well. I thought it was a great place for him to get his feet wet. Team liked him, fans liked him. And then
Coaching was
off-season
bad.
happens. Well, coaching is always bad in Chicago. But it just they got rid of him after one season where he actually had a winning season and moved on. It's like you have to let the guy try. You can't just chalk it up to it's the same thing with the Jets, right? Where you're going to get rid of a coach that you've had forever because you got a new quarterback and you think that since he did so well in Green Bay that it's actually the coach's reason, which it probably isn't. So I'm not sure that I'm ready to see Justin Fields in New York at the Jets. I didn't like him last year. I don't think he did well at all. Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson, both great names, have the ability to do well, but
Garrett Wilson
again,
just signed a
Garrett,
massive contract. Hopefully, he has somebody to throw it to him correctly. Brees Hall's going
um,
into a contract year. Hopefully, he can earn a little bit extra moolah. Or he's going to be earning about $11 million a year. I mean, that's I think at the ceiling of where he's going to be. But we'll see. We'll see. So anyway, with this team again, Aaron Rodgers superflex spot, Justin Fields superflex spot, Brees Hall I would start him, DK Metcalf I would start him, Garrett Wilson I would start him because he is really the only person he's throwing to. Interested in seeing what Mason Taylor does, the rookie out of New York. I did not see much of him in the preseason, but apparently he's really good, so I'm interested. Um, Kickers, they're the exact same kicker, guys. You're gonna probably get 2 field goals and an extra point out of each of them, and it's gonna end in a tie. That's how this game's gonna end. So, but the next game that we're gonna head to is Washington against the Giants. We'll make this quick since should be another blow. Jaden Daniels. Everybody says he's gonna be the MVP this year. We will see. I don't believe it, but we will see. Terry McLaurin finally signed that contract that we were expecting him to sign. I expect him and Jaden Daniels to take off as per usual. Debo Samuel. We'll see how they use him. The 49ers always used him in the backfield and short underneath stuff. We'll see if Washington uses it in the same way. Zach Ertz is going to be solid. So another, I would say a backup for your squad, but again, not somebody I would about starting week one. What about New York? Do you think?
I like Malik Neighbors.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next team. No, we'll talk a little bit more about the Giants. Malik Neighbors, yeah, number one, absolutely. How long do you think that the Giants stick with Russell Wilson?
I don't expect Russell Wilson to do anything. I didn't expect him to do anything in Denver. I didn't expect him to do anything in the offseason. He's just not he he doesn't want to play. You could tell him that he doesn't want to play and he's just in it for the money and the name that he created for himself in Seattle. And I'm over it. No to Russell Wilson.
All right, you heard it here first. No to Russell Wilson. All right, so then we go to Denver. This should be another blowout, so this should be fairly simple. But you do have Cam Ward. You do have the Bo Nix. You have some good. It should be a fun matchup to watch to see what each team has. But really, this shouldn't be a. This should not be at all a competition. Denver should absolutely wipe the floor with Tennessee. Cam Ward and Calvin Ridley. That's where I expect there to be any kind of fantasy value in the game from the Tennessee point of view. Cam Ward, Denver's going to eat him alive, so get ready for that, guys. Calvin Ridley is his number one receiver, so Calvin Ridley is the starter and the only starter in this. Whenever you kick in Denver, you always start one of those kickers. So Joey Sly or Will Lutz, because that Mile High Stadium air is so thin, the ball just sails. So always, if you have a game in Denver, go with one of the kickers. If you have them, start them.
It's a great idea.
There you go. Anything from Denver on your side, Megan?
I can't believe Marvin Mims is still in Denver.
I'm surprised nobody traded for him.
Me too. I mean, Cortland Sutton kind of too, but
Well,
Marvin Mims,
they just extended Cortland Sutton, or they would have.
yeah, that's my point is that Denver's known for just trading off good players and seeing what they're left with and hopefully getting somebody from a rookie perspective. But I'm surprised that Marvin Mims has stayed with Denver as long as they have.
All right, so that's kind of where I'm at. Bo Nix, you too. We're going to go ahead and see where he can take it. We expect him to take that next step, and RJ Harvey.
But he's a baby. Bo Nix is a baby.
Yeah, yeah, but
So
made him to the playoffs last year, so he's at least something. Okay, so let's go ahead and head over to Seattle versus the San Francisco 49ers. Lumen Field.
I am excited for this game
Why?
because I feel like San Francisco, like I just want them to do well. I feel like they've had previous years where they get really, really close and then they fall apart. But against Seattle, this is a good right off of the shoot opportunity for them to show what they have, you know. Christian McCaffrey has been injured and not really playing, and I feel like NFL fans have forgotten how good he was when he first started. So this is a good opportunity for him to get out there and show off a little bit. George Kittle, Mr. Tight End himself, you know, like same thing where he's kind of fallen apart as far as being somebody that you associate with a tight end. But then on the other side, you have Seattle with Sam Darnold and Jackson Smith, Njigba, Cooper Cup, you know, great names that we see a lot of and a lot of production from. Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a great game.
Yeah, I agree. San Francisco and Seattle, they always have really good games against each other. I'm really interested in seeing Sam Darnold and the chemistry that he can build with Jackson Smith and Jigba, or JSN as everybody calls him. Because he had that connection with Justin Jefferson last year in Minnesota. He absolutely benefited from it, and he had his best season yet. So I wonder if he can build that rapport with JSN as well. Cooper Cup being traded from the Rams over to Seattle, that was a surprise. But again, it's an absolutely welcome sight for Sam Darnold to go ahead and get in there and say, "Hey, let's build this chemistry. Let's build this room." I think Cooper Cup is a perfect spot for that. George
Yeah,
Kittle, go ahead.
I was gonna say with Cooper Cup, you know, like you look at how Sam Darnold likes to throw the ball and how he is um I feel like he always has his eyes downfield, and I feel like that's a great place for Cooper Cup. I think that we're going to see a lot from the Sam Darnold Cooper Cup relationship.
I agree. Yeah. So I with the Christian McCaffrey, yeah, I we'll see. Like I said, I have to wait to trust him. I need him to be healthy for a full year, and I mean he's been in the league forever, so we'll see how long he
Not
survives.
forever.
It's pretty much forever. Um,
George Kittle.
George
How long
Kittle,
has George Kittle been in the league?
he's been in the. I will tell you right in a second. Um, but I'll
Oh, I
tell
am
what I was.
sure that George Kittle has
Oh,
been in the league a lot longer than Christian McCaffrey.
well, we'll go ahead and pull that up in just a second. But I was gonna say with George Kittle, sneaky 1,000 yard year last year. Um, absolutely still can do it, but he's just not what he used to be. So Kittle has been around since 2017.
Uh-huh.
So that's what 7 years. Not that
Was
long.
Christian McCaffrey in diapers
I promise you, he wasn't.
then?
Christian McCaffrey has been in the league since 2017, so they've both been in the league since.
Oh,
So nice
all
try.
right.
All right,
I owe
so
you a drink in a couple weeks.
alrighty. Next game up is gonna be a all-star, just SmackDown showdown. We're headed over to Green Bay
Green Bay Packers.
versus the
Ooh,
Detroit Lions versus Green Bay.
talk about rivalries.
It's one of the ancient ones. I absolutely think that Detroit fans think they're going to have a return to the playoffs and go into the Super Bowl again. I don't think they will. Personally, I think they are going to have a good season, but Green Bay just got that guy called Micah Parsons added to their defense. And we haven't talked much about defenses here, but I think Green Bay, by adding Micah Parsons, he was a missing piece in their defense. I believe that with that addition, even though he's not had any time to acclimate to their playbook, you put him out on the field, you say, go get the quarterback. Jared Goff does not do well under pressure. I think this is where you're going to start seeing Green Bay is probably going to win this division. That's just my own personal take here. But just from that addition, they have the team to do it. Jordan Love is a consistent upper, not top five, but I would absolutely put him in top 10, top 12 quarterback in the league. Josh Jacobs was one of the top three running backs last year. Matthew Golden is a kid that they just acquired through the draft, and he is a speedster. Romeo Dobbs is sure-handed. Tucker Kraft, we will see what he does after his injury, and then Brandon McManus, another kicker who just won't get out of the league. But it's something where I like Green Bay's team here. Now, granted, you're facing against Detroit. This game is a lot of fun on so many levels. But well, what do you like about Detroit specifically?
Amon-Ra St. Brown. He is always and forever on my fantasy team. Well, maybe not forever, like he will retire eventually, but he is definitely one of my starters. Somebody I try to get when I draft for fantasy. Sam Laporta, also a great tight end. That we see do great things. I'm on the fence about Jared Goff. I feel like he has good games and he has bad games. I think he probably is going to get a little bit of stage fright against Green Bay. You know, that stadium and those fans are quite loud. And I feel like if the Detroit fans don't show up, which they tend to, you know, and when they're so close, then he probably is going to have a hard time hearing and being able to run his team.
Yep, I agree. I completely agree with that, and cannot wait to see or hear the crowd when they do that introduction of Michael Parsons. Rebate, it added a whole another. Um, Jameer Gibbs, David McCombie, Sonic and Knuckles. We'll see if that's where they ground and pound. New offensive coordinators since Ben Johnson went to the Chicago Bears, so we'll see. New offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator in Detroit. So they're in a rebuild, but we'll see if it's just a coaching rebuild or they're going to have to start from the ground level. All right, 3 more games to go. Next game, we get to head to Los Angeles for the Los Angeles Rams versus the
I thought you were
Houston
gonna
Texans.
say Las Vegas for a second. I was like, we already did Vegas. Let's go.
No. We got the Rams versus the Houston Texans. So Matthew Stafford, we'll see if he is not injured anymore. Did not play through the preseason, but I think Stafford's one of those guys who always is injured. He just knows how to play through it. Puka Nakua, he's going to get a lot of looks like he always does. He should also get a lot more looks because they now have Devontae Adams on this team. And with that being said, you are just going to open up that passing game. So I fully expect the Rams to just go crazy this year with the passing game. If Stafford can stay healthy, if he can actually throw the ball. Kyron
Who's his
Williams,
backup?
oh, that's a great. Oh, it's Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh,
Yeah,
not
so
bad.
not a bad backup. They paid enough for him, so it's a good backup to have. But it's something where we'll see if he's gonna give the same kind of production. But we'll find out this week. Houston, the team that wants to be healthy but can never stay healthy. CJ Stroud took a step back last year. Now everybody says it wasn't that big of a step, but it sure did seem like it. Um, but when you have injuries to your top two or 2 out of your top 3 wide receivers, or all 3 of them got injured at some point in the season, you're not going to do much. Dalton Schultz wasn't able to catch much when they really needed him to. The only person who was reliable was Fairbairn. And that is one of the kickers that we're back in a dome. Start Fairbairn if he is on your team.
Not a dome.
Isn't it a dome? I swear.
Okay, well you can work.
But that's kind of the thing. Nico Collins is going to start it off. He's going to fly down the field. But if he gets injured, then child's up a creek.
I have nothing else to say on either of these 2 teams. You said exactly what I was going to.
All right. Well, I'm sure you'll have enough to say for this next game because we are headed to Buffalo for the Sunday night football matchup.
I get to be the Bills fan this time?
Go for it.
Cool. At quarterback, we have Josh Allen, MVP last year. Definitely somebody you want to start against Baltimore. You know, this is going to be a rivalry that isn't a divisional rivalry, but it's a rivalry from the perspective of the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills always have a great game. James Cook, not happy with James Cook. I really don't feel like he did very well at all for the team spirit and morale over the off season. So I'm not high on him whatsoever. Khalil Shakir, love that kid. He's been with the team a long time, kind of has his roots in Buffalo. Definitely love him as a starter. Keon Coleman, I want to see what he can do. I wasn't really impressed with him before, but we'll see. Joshua Palmer, same thing. Dalton Kincaid, you know, tight ends in Buffalo are hard to come, not hard to come by, but hard to put on your fantasy team because they either overuse them or they overuse both of them or they don't use them at all. So I would not pull Dalton Kincaid week 1 of the season until we see what Buffalo's really going to do with their tight ends. And then, of course, kicker Tyler Bass. Chris?
Well, we were talking about the pelvic soreness. Tyler Bass has pelvic soreness. Buffalo brought in 3 different kickers this past week to look at, but they didn't sign any of them. So we'll see if Tyler Bass can go ahead and kick farther than a 48-yard field goal, which was his cap during the last game of the preseason. I don't like it. He's not following through if you look at the tape. and so his kicks are coming out a bit wonky. But luckily uh, they have Ray Davis, their backup running back, who is also their backup kicker. Completely joking at that point. Don't start Tyler Bass. I think you're gonna have to wait and see. As for Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, he's just like Josh. It's something where you have him, yeah, have to start him because he is a former MVP in the last 3 years. He is a two-time MVP. Derrick Henry, the man does not age. Just he bowls over people. It's ridiculous. So until someone can stop him, then Derrick Henry, first game of the year, you start him 100%. Zay Flowers, I think you probably don't touch Zay Flowers because he's going to be going up against Christian Benton or Benford, excuse me, and then you're going to have Taylor Rapp in the backfield for Buffalo's. Rashad Bateman, he's another burner. Um, but like I was saying earlier in past streams, is that Mark Andrews, I think he's really wanting to prove himself. I mean, Dalton Kincaid's the same kind of thing. They both dropped the ball in the biggest spot of the year. Andrews dropped it at the goal line. Dalton Kincaid dropped it on a fourth down. Megan, you're right about Dalton Kincaid and the tight ends in Buffalo. It's hit or miss. You want them to do really well, and sometimes they plan completely around them, but sometimes you don't see them at all. Um, and as for Tyler Loop, the replacement for Tucker, I like the kid. Loop, there it is the way that they're calling for him. I know it's such a silly, but it's a perfect catchphrase. But we'll see how he does. But this game it's full of starters. But again, both teams they don't typically start off the seasons ever too well. So I would actually expect a low scoring game from both teams. Defensive wise, expect turnovers on both sides, and so you should probably have a high scoring defense. Anything else you want to say about the Buffalo game, or move on to Monday night?
Let's do Monday night.
Chicago versus the Vikings. Chicago Bears versus the Minnesota Vikings. This could be a sneaky fun game. JJ McCarthy coming out for his first time in an NFL regular season with Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen coming back home, Hawkinson, Aaron Jones, the untimely, always youthful running back, and then Will Reichard, which is a new kicker for him. We should see what Minnesota's going to do. Again, Aaron Jones is going to be solid. I expect them to run the ball a lot, especially against the Chicago defense. But they're going to have to worry about Edmonds stopping that run. And you have Justin Jefferson, who's always going to be a quarterback's best friend. But not much more to say on Minnesota until we get a better look at how they're going to perform. What about in Chicago, Megan?
I was going to say with Justin Jefferson that he's kind of their go to as far as they can always rely on him. They always somehow find him. And he always makes great plays. So definitely Justin Jefferson on the Minnesota Vikings. From a Chicago perspective, not a lot there. I like Cole Kmet more than I like Colton Loveland. And DeAndre Swift getting up there, but has potential and a crowd favorite.
Yeah, DeAndre Swift has bounced around from a few teams, starting in Detroit and then going over to Philly and then now is with Chicago. Didn't have a huge year last year, but it was still at least significant. I think they're going to try to run the wheels off of him again this year. Caleb Williams is looking to have a good year too. I was looking at his stats. His year wasn't as bad as I thought it was. And so we're expecting a Ben Johnson offense. He is going to have a much better year than he had last year with the former coach getting fired and then having that have to deal with that coach's carousel. Like you said with Justin Jefferson, that's his DJ Moore. DJ Moore is somebody they just paid a lot of money to, and they traded a lot of draft capital to in order to get him. So we'll see how they go ahead and do it. With Loveland, he's a rookie. We just don't know. Cole Kmet's always been a solid tight end for him. But I think you're right. I think Cole Kmet's probably the safer play here between the two. As for your kickers, Cairo Santo's been in the league forever, and it's a Monday night game, so a lot of emotions everywhere they go. So if that's all that we have for these week's matchup, we'll go ahead and come back with our sleepers, our trap players, and our lock players as well. All right, welcome back. Now it's time for our sleepers, our trap players, and the absolute locks that we have for week 1 in the NFL season. First off, we're going to start with the sleepers. What I feel like we have is going to be Justin Fields in the New York Jets matchup. Like we said, Justin, we pretty much have talked about all of them throughout this and what we'd really like to focus on. But that Chargers defense, that would be a huge sleeper for that Kansas City matchup. Next up would be our trap players. What we mean by the trap players is that you go ahead and say, hey, it sounds good to start him, but probably won't. Justin Herbert has never played international games like we stated before. Therefore, I would probably be a little bit more cautious with him. Jalen Warren with Pittsburgh running the ball. I don't think that he's going to be able to do much against that Aaron Glenn defense. Dave Flowers, we talked about. Tyler Bass with that pelvic soreness. Darren Waller, we'll see if he wants to really actually play. In Jacksonville, who knows? So now for our absolute locks. Baker Mayfield. That Tampa Bay game is going to be absolutely fire. The Los Angeles Chargers, Hampton running back. That is someone that I think that he's going to be getting the ball every single time in that new Jim Harbaugh offense. Jamar Chase, you never not start him. Ever. Sam Laporta, Megan talked about Sam Laporta with great detail. That was a fantastic pick to say, hey, I think he's going to be what Detroit needs to make that next step. And Chase McLaughlin in Tampa Bay. I know we have 2 Tampa Bay guys, but I really like that matchup. And then, of course, the Denver defense against Cam Ward and that Tennessee offense. They're just going to wipe the floor with them. All right. We'll be right back. All right, guys. I know this went longer than our normal 30 minutes like we like to stick to, but we figured with it being week 1, you needed the full breakdown of each team. Future-wise, we're going to go ahead and stick to that 30 minutes. Each team, we're going to give you a couple here and there, but now, since we're starting in week 1, we want to make sure you got a full breakdown. So, extra long episode for you this week. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll be right back for the closeout. All right, so that's our matchups for week 1 breakdown, our sleepers and trap players together, and also the position locks that we had for it. Thank you for joining us again this week. Be sure to subscribe and like the show and share it with your friends.
Nobody circles the wagons like CTW. Have a good night.
Thanks.